Imagine a woman so dangerous, so elusive, that she became the Gestapo's most wanted person. They offered a 5 million franc bounty for her head, and nicknamed her the White Mouse, because she was impossible to catch. This is the story of Nancy Wake, the only woman on Hitler's personal most wanted list, and the reason he, and his entire regime, feared her so intensely. This wasn't a story of grand armies clashing on battlefields. It was a shadow war, fought in the moonlit forests and quiet villages of occupied France, and Nancy Wake was one of its most brilliant commanders. Born in New Zealand and raised in Australia, Nancy wasn't your typical girl next door. She was fiercely independent, spirited, and had a wanderlust that took her to Europe as a young journalist. It was there in the vibrant streets of 1930s Paris that her life would change forever. She witnessed firsthand the rise of Nazism, interviewing Hitler himself in 1933. The experience horrified her. She saw the brutal reality of his ideology in the streets of Vienna, where she watched Nazi gangs randomly beating Jewish people. That was the moment her path was set. She vowed that if she ever had the chance to do something, she would. That chance came sooner than she could have imagined. When war broke out, Nancy was living in Marseille with her wealthy French industrialist husband, Henry. While many fled, Nancy stayed. She couldn't stand by and do nothing. She joined the burgeoning French resistance, initially as an ambulance driver, but her role quickly evolved. Using her charm, her wealth, and her utter fearlessness, she became a key figure in an escape network. She helped hundreds of Allied soldiers and downed airmen escape over the Pyrenees mountains to the safety of neutral Spain. Her apartment became a revolving door for fugitives. She'd use her socialite status as a cover, throwing lavish parties for German officers while hiding Allied pilots in the spare bedroom. She was a master of disguise, a brilliant actress who could switch from a high society hostess to a humble peasant woman in the blink of an eye. The Gestapo started hearing whispers of a mysterious woman orchestrating these escapes. They had no name, no face, just a code name born of frustration: the White Mouse. They tapped her phone, intercepted her mail, and put her under constant surveillance. But she always slipped through their grasp, often right under their noses. But the net was tightening. In 1943, the Gestapo finally figured out her identity. Her network was compromised, and she had to flee. It was a heart-wrenching decision. She had to leave her beloved husband Henry behind, promising she would return. She didn't know it at the time, but it would be the last time she would ever see him. After she left, the Gestapo arrested Henry, tortured him for information about his wife, and when he refused to betray her, they executed him. Nancy wouldn't learn of his fate for 2 long years. After a perilous journey across France and over the mountains, Nancy finally made it to Britain. But she wasn't looking for safety. She was looking for a way back into the fight. Her reputation preceded her. She was immediately recruited by the British Special Operations Executive, or SOE, Churchill's secret army, tasked with setting Europe ablaze. They trained her in everything: sabotage, codes, silent killing, and guerrilla warfare. Her instructors were astonished by her toughness and her skill. She was a natural. She could outdrink many of her male colleagues and was a crack shot with a pistol. In April 1944, just before D-Day, Nancy parachuted back into occupied France, into the heart of the Auvergne region. Her mission was to organize and lead the local Maquis resistance fighters, preparing them to wreak havoc on the Germans when the invasion began. She landed, tangled, in a tree, and her first words to the French captain who found her were a complaint that she hoped all the trees in France weren't so rude. As the leader of 7,000 Maquisards, Nancy was transformed. She wasn't just a courier anymore. She was a commander. She organized parachute drops of weapons and supplies, led attacks on German convoys and garrisons, and coordinated sabotage missions that crippled enemy communications. She was in her element, leading from the front, fighting side by side with her men. They adored her. She was tough, demanding, but fiercely protective of them. One story perfectly captures her raw courage. During a German raid on their camp, her wireless operator had to destroy the codes and bury the radio before escaping. They were cut off, unable to receive crucial orders or supplies from London. The only way to get new codes was to retrieve them from another operator over 200 kilometers away. through heavily patrolled enemy territory. Nancy volunteered without a second thought. She biked for over 72 hours straight, crossing German checkpoints and dodging patrols to complete the mission. When she returned, exhausted but successful, she found her men had been fighting off German attacks for days. She didn't rest. She picked up a gun and joined the fight. In another instance, she discovered a female German spy in their ranks. When the men hesitated to execute her, Nancy did it herself, saying she couldn't risk the lives of her fighters. One of the most legendary feats came during an attack on a Gestapo headquarters. She personally led the charge, and when her Sten gun jammed, she killed a sentry with her bare hands, using a judo chop to the throat she'd learned in training. She was utterly ruthless when she needed to be. When the Allies finally broke through after D-Day, Nancy's Maquis group played a vital role, harassing the retreating German forces and liberating towns and villages. The German forces in her area sustained over 1,400 casualties, while her own group suffered only around 100. It was a testament to her brilliant and audacious leadership. By the time France was liberated, Nancy Wake was one of the most decorated servicewomen of the war, receiving medals from France, Britain, and the United States. After the war, she finally learned the terrible truth about her husband, Henry. The loss was a devastating blow that stayed with her for the rest of her life. She always said he was the love of her life, and his sacrifice was the ultimate price paid for their shared fight for freedom. Nancy Wake's story is more than just a war story. It's a testament to the power of one person's conviction. A socialite who became a soldier, a journalist who became a general of a shadow army. She fought not for glory, but because she saw evil and refused to look away. She proved that courage has no gender, and that one determined person can indeed change the course of history. The White Mouse may have been a whisper in the shadows, but her actions roared like thunder across occupied Europe, striking fear into the heart of the Nazi regime. Thank you so much for watching. If you were as inspired by Nancy Wake's incredible story as I was, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories of forgotten heroes. Let us know in the comments what other historical figures you'd like to see covered. See you in the next one.